Alright guys, so this is the science assignment for Thursday, February 11th. And for today's assignment, we're going to need our coach books. So, as a reminder, this is what the book looks like. Everyone should have took that home on Tuesday. If you didn't, that was held up at the office for you, and eventually the Board of Education, if you didn't come in on Tuesday itself to pick it up last Tuesday, not the day before yesterday, but the Tuesday of last week. So if you haven't got this book with you, that's okay, because I am going to display it while I read it. But if you do have your book, go ahead and pull that out. We are on page 92. All right, let's move the little me over here. All right, so this is the lesson 15. It's called Human Body Systems, and this should be a review. This is going to act as a review of all the things we've been talking about the entire month of January and this first couple of weeks of February, and we're just going to review the major body systems that we have been learning about. The respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, skeletal system, muscular system, and nervous system. They are the ones that we have been talking about. All right, in lesson 14, you learned that cells are the building blocks of all living things. You also learned that cells work together in groups in humans and other multicellular organisms. Remember, multicellular means made up of many cells, more than one cell, not to be confused with unicellular, which means one cell. So we're multicellular. We're not just made up of one cell, we're made up of many cells. You have many different body systems that work together to carry out all of your body's functions, all the things your body does. All right, here's this big 5th grade concept that we have to understand. Body systems work together. Recall that a system is a group of parts that work together. Systems can work together to make up a larger whole. So we have our body systems, like the respiratory system, for example, where all of the parts of the respiratory system work together. But we also have more than one body system. We have the respiratory system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, and so on. And these body systems work with each other as well to accomplish the things that our bodies need to do in order to function and stay alive. All right, so there are many systems in the human body. Each system performs its own special function. Your body systems work together to carry out all of your body's functions and keep you healthy. All right, the respiratory system. All right, so just recall that the respiratory system is dealing with the process of breathing. Our nose, our mouth, our trachea, which we also know as the windpipe, our bronchi tubes that break off from the windpipe and lead into our 2 lungs. So there's our lungs. And our diaphragm. These are all major parts of our respiratory system. They all play a role in getting this process of breathing to take place. The respiratory system takes in oxygen from the air that you breathe. The lungs are the main structures of the respiratory system. When you breathe in, air enters your body through your nose or mouth. The air moves down your throat and passes through your trachea or windpipe to your lungs. Oxygen is taken into your blood, and carbon dioxide leaves your blood through the thin walls of tiny structures in the lungs. Carbon dioxide is then removed from your body. The air you breathe out has less oxygen and more carbon dioxide than the air you breathe in. So here we have an example right here. Since this is my personal book, I'm going to write in it. Now, you guys, y'all are not writing in it, but I'm just going to highlight this to point this out. So it's mentioning here that we take in oxygen when we breathe and we release carbon dioxide. But a huge component of breathing in and breathing out is that the oxygen needs to be delivered to the cells of the body. The lungs don't do that. The lungs don't send the oxygen to the places that the oxygen needs to go. It is the job of the circulatory system, which contains our bloodstream, to deliver the oxygen to the cells. So when we breathe in the oxygen, and we actually talked about these specific structures and the capillaries in about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago, about that long ago. And we mentioned, how that process takes place of them taking in oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide. But just for the review purposes, we need to recall that it's the bloodstream that's taking this oxygen and delivering it to the cells of the body. And it's the bloodstream that's picking up that carbon dioxide waste from the cells and getting it back to the lungs so we can breathe it out. So this is an example here of the respiratory system working with the circulatory system. They're two separate systems, but they're working together. All right, it's kind of blurry down there. Let's see if I can get that focused a little better. There we go. A thin sheet called the diaphragm lies below the lungs. The diaphragm and muscles attached to your ribs tighten and relax to make you breathe in and breathe out. These muscles are not part of the respiratory system, but they help it work. So here we got an example of the respiratory system working with, no, it's not on that page, but it is up here, parts of the muscular system to get a job done. So we have muscles attached to our rib cage that are helping the diaphragm in its movement during breathing in and breathing out. So we have the respiratory system and the muscular system working together. All right, let's move on to the digestive system. That's the one we just most recently talked about. Just as a refresher, our digestive system includes the digestive tract, which is all the things listed here, as well as other organs, our liver, our pancreas, and our gallbladder, which are not a part of the digestive tract, but are a part of the digestive system. The digestive tract refers to the pathway food goes down. So major parts of our digestive system include our mouth, that's where food enters, the esophagus, that's where it goes on its way to the stomach. The stomach does all its mashing and crunching and breaking it down into the small liquidy substance called chyme. And then that food is brought, or chyme I should say, that's the more appropriate term, is brought into the small intestine, where the small intestine continues breaking this down into its nutrients that we need for energy and for our cells to function and live and carry out their processes. But how do our cells get that energy and those nutrients? The small intestines doesn't go floating around the body and deliver it. It stays right there. So it is the job of the circulatory system. So we have the circulatory system working with the digestive system to make sure all those nutrients and the energy that was acquired when the small intestine was doing its job, breaking those things down, so that those nutrients and such can get to the cells of the body. The circulatory system, specifically the bloodstream, picks up those things and takes it to the cells of the body which need those things. Once the small intestine has broken down all of your food into its nutrients and got all that good stuff out and going to the rest of the body, what's left over is your waste. And the waste is passed from the small intestine into the large intestine, where it makes its way out. This is the liver here. It's a part of the digestive system. I'm just going to add it. You can't really see the pancreas. It's kind of buried back there, but it's in there too, as is the gallbladder. And they play a role in the digestive process, even though they're not a part of the actual digestive tract where food flows, but they are a part of the digestive system. All right, your body needs materials and energy to stay alive and grow. You get these things from the food you eat. The digestive system breaks down food so it can be used by the body. The process begins in your mouth when you chew. I feel like we've said that a lot over the last few days. Chewing breaks food into smaller pieces. Then the food enters the esophagus, a tube that is connected to the stomach. In the stomach, the food is mixed with chemicals that help break it down. Next, the food passes into the small intestine. More chemicals continue to break down food in the small intestine. Nutrients are then absorbed by the body. In the large intestine, water is removed from food and the water is taken into the body. Any remaining food that has not been digested becomes waste. All right, and then another tie-in to another body system here, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, you have muscles lining your stomach, you have muscles lining your intestines, and these muscles play a huge role in breaking the food down in the case of the stomach, scrunching and crunching. And then along the intestinal tract, the small and large intestine, you have muscles that are pushing the food and eventually that becomes waste, pushing that through your intestinal tract. So we have an example here again of two systems working together. The digestive system working with the muscular system to get something accomplished, to get something done, necessary for keeping us alive. All right, my favorite one, the circulatory system. The circulatory system carries oxygen, food, and wastes throughout the body. The heart, blood vessels, and blood make up this system. The heart is the center of the circulatory system. The heart pumps blood through blood vessels called arteries. The blood moves through the arteries into capillaries. In the capillaries, oxygen and food move from the blood to the body's cells. And I would think of that more as the nutrients from broken down food, not necessarily, it's not like a banana going through your capillary into your cell. It's the nutrients from the banana. Carbon dioxide and other wastes move from the cells to the blood. Next, the blood moves through the veins, which carry it back to the heart. So they took a lot of information that we learned over the process of days and condensed it into this little paragraph. So we have learned, as this paragraph points out, that the heart is the pump that drives this circulatory system. The heart is divided into 4 chambers. We learned about that. And the heart is responsible for pumping blood to the cells of our body. Whenever blood leaves the heart, it's moving away from the heart, it's going out through an artery. Okay, A for artery, A for away. Blood returning to the heart is coming in through veins. Blood that is full of oxygen is called oxygenated blood. Blood that is lacking oxygen is called deoxygenated blood. And there is a place and a role for both types of blood in our body. So when the heart is pumping blood out from the left ventricle to the rest of the body, that's one of the chambers of the heart, the left ventricle, and we talked about that. So this should not be a new concept for you. And it pumps it out through our aorta, that big artery right by our heart. That blood is oxygenated. It got oxygen from the lungs. And it's going to send out that blood to the cells of the body so the cells can take in that oxygen that they need and then give off that carbon dioxide waste that they don't need. And then the blood's going to return back to the heart. Well, it's not oxygenated anymore. The cells took that oxygen and in its place gave the bloodstream some carbon dioxide waste to get rid of. So when that blood arrives back to the heart coming in through a vein, it wouldn't make sense for that blood to go back out to the body again. It doesn't have oxygen anymore and it's full of carbon dioxide waste. So it arrives at the right side of the heart. And the right ventricle will pump that blood to the lungs. And that's where it will go through this process described here, okay, that we were talking about before. So in the lungs, the oxygen that you have just breathed in is passed into the bloodstream. The bloodstream gets rid of that carbon dioxide waste, which you breathe out, and now it's gone. The waste is gone, no longer in my body at all. And now that blood, since you just got a bunch of oxygen from it in the lungs, is oxygenated again. And so that blood is going to circle back to the heart, arriving at the left atrium. So now that it's oxygenated again, it's arriving at the left side of the heart, and it's going to be pumped out through that aorta, that big artery, to deliver that oxygenated blood to the body. Tying in with the digestive system here, it did bring up the fact that in those capillaries where that gas exchange takes place in the cells, oxygen and the nutrients from our food are exchanged. So when the blood's making its way back to the heart from the body, it also goes by our digestive organs and picks up those nutrients that our small intestine is getting out of all that food for us. So it picks up the nutrients there, brings it back to the heart, and when the blood's ready to be pumped to the rest of the body again, because it's oxygenated and everything, those nutrients will be there too. So our cells will get the oxygen and the nutrients it needs when the blood delivers it in their direction. All right, I think this paragraph's just basically going to talk about what I said. The circulatory system works with other systems. The respiratory system takes in oxygen from air in your lungs. The circulatory system carries the oxygen to every cell of your body. The digestive system breaks down food into forms the body can use. The circulatory system absorbs those nutrients and carries them to the cells of the body. So yeah, what I just said. All right, let's move on to the skeletal and muscular systems. Now these two you definitely talked a lot about in 3rd grade. So this should really just be a review, and I know we did spend a couple of days on each one of those at the beginning of January. The basic framework of the body is the skeleton. The human skeletal system is made up of 206 bones that give the body structure and support. Bones also cover and protect organs inside the body. The skull protects the brain. The ribs protect the heart and lungs. Bones would not work without muscles to move them. Muscles pull the bones to produce movement. The muscular system is made up of all the muscles attached to bones. These muscles move the body. So that's a really good example of how two systems work together. So in order to move our bones, we have skeletal muscle. Remember, we talked about 3 different types of muscles. Skeletal muscles are the ones that we use to move our arm or our finger or our legs or our toes. And of course, those are all voluntary. We have complete control over that. If I want to move my finger, I can. If I don't want to move my finger, I don't have to. It also points out how we have bones that protect our organs. So, for example, here, this is the ribs protecting the heart and the lungs, and the bones of the skull, which protect the brain. All right, the nervous system, and this is just a diagram. We've already made a very similar diagram where we filled in many of these bones, but these are our most popular, well-known bones of the body. Our skull, for example, ribs, humerus, which is this upper arm bone here, femur, that's our thigh bone, fibula and tibia, those are our lower leg bones. All right, the nervous system. The nervous system controls all the other body systems. So this is the control center, okay, the nervous system. It works with every system of our body. Without our nervous system functioning, the rest of them aren't going to know what to do, and they're going to shut down. The brain is the core of the nervous system. Here's our brain. It collects information and makes decisions. A part of your brain tells you when to breathe. A part of your nervous system tells the muscles of your digestive system to move food. The spinal cord is the main pathway for messages between the brain and the rest of the body. Nerves carry messages from inside or outside the body. A message passes from one nerve to the next nerve, and so on. Soon the message reaches the brain, which makes sense of it. Of course, this happens in seconds because you're not standing there and someone's pinching you and you're not detecting it for quite some time. You realize it right away. So these messages go super fast from the moment your nerves detect it to when your brain processes it. All right, and as this paragraph points out, all of the other systems are under the control of the nervous system. So the other systems know what to do because the nervous system is telling them what to do. All right, so there's going to be a Google form that's just going to have these 4 questions in it. So you're not answering these questions in the book. You're going to have to go to the Google form to answer them. Remember, we are not writing in the book. All right, and here are those questions in case you need to hear them read aloud. Number 1, which statement correctly identifies a part of the circulatory system and its functions? The heart pumps blood. The brain makes decisions. The lungs take in oxygen. The muscles move the body. So, which of these describes a organ or body part of the circulatory system and what it does? Number 2, which body system controls all other systems of the body? Is it the nervous system, circulatory system, muscular system, or skeletal system? Number 3, the esophagus, stomach, and intestines are all part of one body system. Which one? Digestive system, circulatory system, nervous system, or skeletal system? Number 4, which system gives the body structure and support? Is it the digestive system, muscular system, skeletal system, or nervous system? This is only 4 questions, so make sure you are comfortable and confident with your answers before you hit submit. Missing 1 means it's a 75. Missing 2 means it's a 50. So make sure you're happy with what you have selected before you hit submit, because there is only 1 attempt at this assignment. When you are finished, make sure you submit and mark done in Google Classroom. That tells me to come back and check your score. And if you have any questions or you need help with anything, you can send me an email or send me a message in Google Classroom, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, these are due by 11:59 tonight.